asking a very simple question to all of you. How many of you use technology in your lives? Like, be it your business, your work, your lifestyle. You can raise your hand. Everyone uses technology. But from where did we get the inspiration to create technology to come up with these brilliant innovations? Can I have the slides, please? So, from where did we get the inspiration? Nature has inspired us. Some basic examples are birds taught us how to fly, or beavers taught us how to create dams, or tiny termites demonstrated us ideas to build brilliant infrastructures, or we are all aware about WWW, that is Wood Wide Web. That is World Wide Web. But 370 million years ago, trees also built their own one, which, as I mentioned, is Wood Wide Web, which is an intricate root system and ground beneath our feet that can talk, trade, and reward with one another. So, or else right now we are all struggling in autonomous ADAS level 5 vehicle safety part. But nature already has it. Because have you ever wondered why two colonies of ants coming from two different directions do not crash or bang into each other? The reason is pheromones network, a chemical reaction through which they can non-verbally communicate with each other. And the same applies for a murder of crows or else a school of fishes, or even a herd of bears, through which they can communicate through pheromones network. So that is something that we can learn, and the point I'm trying to explain here is nature has always been ahead of us and will always be ahead of us. It is us who needs to understand and start to implement them and collaborate with nature. Now you might be wondering, why am I saying all this, or how did I even come across all this? So my journey, previous slide please. My journey started in 2016 because from the time I started to walk, admiring the sounds of the buzzing bees or the rustlings of leaves or even the waves of seas. But then in the year 2016, December 6th, the winds were blowing fast, the thunderstorms were flickering, there was heavy rainfall, trees were getting uprooted and the road was flooded. I'm talking about a devastating Vada cyclone, which hit the shore of Tamil Nadu in 2016. And I did not want to stop and just cry. I started to take action. So I started participating in several tree plantation drives. And after doing that for 2 good years, in the year 2018, after that, I started participating, and in the year 2018, I launched Prasiddhi Forest Foundation with the aim to plant about 1 lakh trees. And till now, I've planted 55,000 plus trees and created 37 Prasiddhi forests. Thank you. So, this was a little bit about me. But coming back to the context that we were speaking about, of nature and the collaboration, well, we need to understand the fact that working with nature and not against it can make things much easier and faster for us. And the fact behind it is that right now we are talking about renewable energies, electric vehicles, or how to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels. But then we need to understand to collaborate with nature. We might be thinking we are doing a lot, but there's still a lot more needed. So speaking about nature, nature is a sophisticated system of GHGs, greenhouse gases. Now we need to stop the planet from warming. That's pretty clear. But then there has to be a plan, and the first point is we need to get kind with nature. So if we look at it, here's how it's going to work. Now, if we stop the destruction of wetlands, grasslands, or extinct forests, we can pull out about 3.9 billion metric tons. Next, smarter farming and forestry techniques can give us another 5.1 billion metric tons. And lastly, if we of carbon out of the atmosphere. And next, if we try to restore the forests and wetlands we have lost, we can get another 2 billion metric tons. So as a whole, it would be 11 billion metric tons of carbon getting reduced from the atmosphere. Though it is only 1/3 of the carbon emission reduction that is required, but it would actually be a string of SUVs stuck bumper to bumper from the Earth to Moon 56 times. That's the amount of change we can bring. But it is important we collaborate with nature. And that's the main point I'm trying to show over here. But then how is all this going to work through? So now I would like to invite one of my very special friends. Can any one of you guess it? I do tree plantation, so who's my special friend? Trees, exactly. So trees are very important, and I would like to bring them over here. Next slide, please. Yes. Now, if we look at them from our food, shelter, resources, almost for everything we depend on them. But then now, due to the overgrowing industries and consumer demand on a very historic rate, one thing that we will see over here is that sadly a lot of trees are getting cut. Do you know that every second one football field of forest is getting cut in some part of the world, which is very bad. But how are we going to solve it? Trees. And I think one line is enough for their introduction. That is, trees on their own are a laboratory. But then why do we exactly need trees? What are the main points of that laboratory? So there are 6 key pillars in that. Air, water, social impact, health, climate, and biodiversity. So our first one is air. Well, how many of you have been to a forest? Well, in fact, actually, in Metropolitan, you are basically living in or rather around a forest. That's true. But then compared to a place like Chennai or some other metros like Delhi, Mumbai, it is much hotter over there. Or the air quality makes the difference. Because trees act like natural air filters. And they cool the air and make it much better. So over here, if we look at it, then trees can reduce the particular matter there from about 7 to 24% around them. And not only that, they clean the air and cool all the heat-trapping cities. Next is water. So trees are a major line of defense for floods. We are all aware about that. And their intricate root system is able to prevent us from any kind of landslide or soil erosions. And there is a very interesting fact that I came across, that a single ordinary evergreen tree can intercept up to 15,000 liters of water per year, which is huge. So that is there underwater. Next, after that, we have biodiversity. So biodiversity is very important because we have air, there is water, and thirdly, biodiversity, the society and community near us. But then from the past 50 years, biodiversity is dropping dramatically. We've reduced, snuffed out habitats and reduced the population of wildlife by 60%. And the number of lions in Africa has dropped by 65%. The number of individual flying species in Europe has dropped by 75%. And the number of bluefin tuna in the Pacific has dropped by 95%. These are some very big numbers, and biodiversity is dropping catastrophically. But what is the solution to that? Can you all guess it? Trees. Again, trees are the heroes everywhere. So do you know that a forest is a home to 80% of terrestrial plants and animal species, and the rest of it is all the aerial and arboreal animals' habitats. And a tree on its own is a home for hundreds of species. So that's how trees help biodiversity. Next slide, please. Next one, please. No, not all. Well, fine. Social impact. So trees do not only help the environment, but then they also help all the citizens for their livelihoods. Because India's 70% population depends on trees directly and indirectly. So be it for the natural resources or even all the things we are taking, all the resources we are taking from trees. So even for the economical growth and livelihoods, also they are very important. And then comes, after everything, obviously our health comes up, that's ourselves. So so I was shocked when I got to know that 1 of 4 adults are usually, according to a survey, they are blood pressure patients. And to do their treatment, a lot of money is required. But spending some time with trees or walking into forests can not only reduce their stress and anxiety, but also improve their mood as well as their blood pressure. So that's how they help in health. And finally comes climate. So trees are the most amazing climate combat, most amazing and affordable one as well. And trees can actually absorb up to 48 pounds of carbon from the atmosphere, which is 21.772 kilograms, which is again very amazing, I mean, per year. So imagine if there is a tree in every house, the number of benefits we can get from them. So those were the 6 key pillars. So now coming to a very basic concept that we learned from grade 1 or our primary is pick a tree, any tree. They do this awesome thing called photosynthesis, inside which they absorb the rays of the sun, pluck carbon from the air, and literally eat the stuff that makes our planet hotter. So trees on their own are actually the solution to global warming, to climate change, and almost all the problems. Well, have you heard of mangroves? They live on estuaries, bays, beachlines, backwaters, and almost all the places of water. And their speciality is that they can store 5 times more carbon compared to a normal landlocked counterpart. That's a normal tree. So that's their speciality. And every tree on its own has its own very different but crucial importance. So that was all about mangroves. Now, the ecosystem of trees are so brilliant because once the trees age, they deposit their carbon into the soil so that younger plants and crops can take it and grow and flourish better. Then if it's a vegetation, animals like us humans take them, eat it, and then again release carbon back to the atmosphere. This entire procedure is called the carbon cycle, which is working brilliantly till a very long time, until we humans overloaded the system by burning fossil fuels, massive industrialization, deforestation, and harming the environment for our much basic demands. Due to which a lot of destruction was caused. But then, what is again important for all of us is to collaborate with nature. We need to understand it takes more than just reducing our dependence on fossil fuels or switching to renewable energies. What matters is how we evolve and build a change for the environment and planet. So, and if all of you are still thinking, couple of you maybe, not all of you, are still thinking there is no need to do anything, then I'd like to say that the world is in desperate need, and the world is facing unprecedented challenges, and humanity is faced with a choice to go on an unsustainable trajectory or stop, listen, and learn from nature. Because there are so many problems we can encounter with the solutions woven in the fabric of Mother Nature. So there are two choices, an unsustainable trajectory or natural solutions. So that was all, and I would also like to say that for all the people who are thinking that alone you cannot make a difference or you cannot make a change, then over here we are all seeds. But a small 4mm seed has the potential to grow into a 400 feet tall tree. And I started off by planting small shrubs in my garden. And that's one of my forests that has grown double my height now and has a lot of birds, biodiversity, and a lot of it. So I'd like to say that a single step, a single drop, a single impact, together we all can build, can make a very big change. So I would like to conclude now. I'd like to conclude now by saying dream high, higher than the sky, think deep, deeper than the oceans. And I'd like to ask a question to all of you and then leave. That is, will you all be the protectors of nature? So don't say yes. I think Shanta Kumari ma'am knows what I'm going to do. It is, oh yes. So will you all protect nature? Will you all support the planet? And will you all protect your future? Thank you so much.